So get ready, because today we're going on a deep dive. A deep dive into the life of Abu Darda. He's a truly remarkable figure from early Islam. You
Yeah.
know, you sent over this lecture from Dr. Omar Suleiman, and man, it's just packed with insights. So much good stuff in here.
Yeah, so much to unpack.
Let's unpack it together.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that stood out to me initially is, I mean, he was known as the scholar of the companions,
Yeah.
which is saying something. When you think about the companions that he was around, this is a pretty high title.
Exactly, exactly.
So by the end of this deep dive, you'll not only know his story, but also understand why his wisdom, particularly on knowledge, character, and worship, is still so powerful today.
And what's so interesting is, before embracing Islam, Abu Darda was actually a devoted idol worshiper.
Really?
His conversion story is quite unique.
Yeah.
It involves his best friend, a broken idol, and a reaction that you might not expect.
Okay, I'm hooked already. Tell me more about this broken idol.
So his friend, Abdullah ibn Makam, had already converted to Islam. Okay. And he was trying to convince Abu Darda to join him.
Right.
So one day, Abdullah goes to Abu Darda's house
Uh-huh.
and smashes his idol. And then he just leaves without saying a word.
Whoa, what a bold move.
Yeah.
Just leaving him with this shattered idol. No explanation.
It was.
It must have been. I can't even imagine how deeply unsettling that must have been for Abu Darda.
It was a turning point, for him. This act really forced him to confront, it seems, the fragility of his beliefs.
Yeah.
He had to grapple with the fact that something he held so dear could be so easily destroyed.
Yeah.
And it seems like in that moment of vulnerability, something shifted within him.
So did he seek out Abdullah for answers?
Actually, he went straight to the Prophet Muhammad himself.
Oh, wow.
And he ultimately embraced Islam.
Wow.
Now, what's fascinating here is the Prophet had already received divine revelation that Abu Darda would become Muslim.
No way. So it was like
Oh.
his conversion was preordained in a way?
Yeah, like he was destined for this path.
SubhanAllah. So how did he transition from, this dedicated idol worshiper to becoming such a renowned scholar?
Yeah,
It seems like there's a lot of catching up to do.
he did.
Yeah.
But his dedication was just remarkable. After converting, he immersed himself in Islamic knowledge,
Yeah.
memorizing the Quran, and he quickly became a prominent figure in scholarship. Imagine, he missed out on those early years with the Prophet, yet his thirst for knowledge just propelled him forward at an incredible pace.
Yeah, it sounds like he had a fire lit under him.
Yeah.
Now, was this desire to learn solely focused on the Quran, or did it extend to other aspects of Islam as well?
His commitment extended to teaching and spreading knowledge.
Okay.
He and other companions, they took it upon themselves to divide the region of Greater Syria amongst themselves,
Whoa.
each taking responsibility for teaching people the Quran and the principles of Islam.
He divided a region. That's
Yeah.
a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
It requires some serious, organization and dedication to even pull that off.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how he earned the title the Scholar of the Companions.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, there's an account
Yeah.
where some companions were discussing where to seek knowledge
Yeah.
from various esteemed figures.
Right?
And amongst those names, Abu Darda stood out,
Yeah.
really solidifying his place as a scholar of the time.
So he was like top tier.
Top tier.
Yeah.
One companion even said, "There is no man on the face of the earth, carried by any part of the earth, or shaded by any tree that is more knowledgeable than you."
Man, that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
That highlights the level of respect that he had. Even with all this knowledge and dedication, though,
Right.
didn't he face any personal struggles trying to balance, his spiritual pursuits with his worldly life?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
He had a successful business career,
Okay.
but he couldn't reconcile that with his desire to devote himself fully to worship and scholarship. And this internal conflict is something a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, even today. It's a pretty universal struggle trying to find that balance. So how did he ultimately resolve this conflict?
It wasn't an easy decision, but he chose to prioritize his spiritual growth over his business pursuits.
Wow.
He famously said, "I tried balancing being a merchant and being a devoted worshiper, but I was unable to figure out how to balance my commitment to my work and my commitment to my worship."
It takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah.
To walk away from something that's, successful to pursue something that's maybe less tangible,
Yeah.
less worldly. It just speaks volumes about his faith and his commitment to his spiritual journey.
And what's fascinating is he articulates this struggle in a way that resonates even today. He was worried about having what he called a scattered heart, a heart divided by worldly concerns.
Oh, that's a good one.
He realized that to truly delve into worship and knowledge, he needed to simplify his life.
That idea of a scattered heart, it's so powerful. It's
Yeah.
like sometimes in order to truly excel in one area, we have to simplify other areas of our lives. It's about recognizing our capacity and what we're capable of handling and then making conscious choices. It's
Yeah.
to prioritize what matters. His dedication, though, it,
Yeah.
it didn't just stop at knowledge and worship. He placed a huge emphasis on character development as well, right?
Absolutely. He considered good character paramount,
Yeah.
even narrating a hadith, a saying of the Prophet Muhammad, which states that nothing is heavier on the day of judgment in the scales of God than good character.
Subhanallah.
So it's not just about knowing the right things or performing rituals. It's about embodying those teachings in our interactions with others,
Mm.
how we treat people, the choices we make, and ultimately the impact we have on the world around us.
It's like actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a reflection of our faith. So, how did this belief in good character kind of manifest in his daily life? Did he have any specific practices or teachings that kind of exemplify this principle?
His wife even shared a story about how he spent an entire night in prayer asking God to beautify his inner character. Not his appearance, but the essence of who he was as a person.
What a beautiful story. It's like
Mhm.
true beauty lies not in our outward appearance, but the purity of our heart and the goodness of our actions.
Uh,
So, how did this belief in good character manifest in his daily life? Did he have any specific practices or teachings that kind of exemplify this principle?
He had this wonderful saying, a Muslim slave of God is being forgiven even while he is sleeping.
Forgiven while sleeping.
Right. What does that even mean?
Yeah, how does that even work?
He believed that when you treat people well, they naturally pray for you,
Mm.
and those prayers benefit you, even when you're unaware of them.
Wow.
It's the power of good deeds and this ripple effect of kindness.
Like a spiritual investment, the kindness that we extend to others comes back to us in ways that we may not even realize. Was this just a theoretical concept for him, or did he actually put this into practice in a real way?
He put it into practice in a pretty remarkable way.
Yeah.
He made it a habit to pray for 360 of his friends and their parents every single night.
Every single night.
Yeah, imagine that.
That's a lot of people.
That's commitment.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a quick prayer. He was actively invoking blessings upon hundreds of people.
That's next level commitment to your friends, man.
It shows you how much he valued relationships.
Yeah, the power of prayer he believed in. So, aside from his, personal practices, what about his impact on the wider community? You mentioned earlier that he played a significant role in Damascus. Tell me more about that.
So his life in Damascus was really a testament to his commitment to both knowledge
Okay.
and community.
Right?
He became a renowned Quran teacher and eventually rose to the position of governor of the city. But even with that authority, his approach to leadership was quite unique.
I'm picturing, a leader who governs with humility and wisdom, prioritizing the well-being of his people.
You're right. He was wary of the distractions of wealth and power, choosing to lead a simple life, focused on service and spiritual growth. So picture this, the Grand Mosque of Damascus,
Okay.
buzzing with activity. Abu Darda established a structured system for Quranic education with over 200 study circles.
Whoa, 200 study circles.
Yeah. Each circle had a lead student who had learned directly from him, ensuring accurate transmission of the Quran.
Man, that's incredible. It sounds like he created this like the first formal Islamic educational institution. I mean, this wasn't just about rote memorization. This was about understanding and embodying the teachings of the Quran. Like
Exactly.
laying the groundwork for, how knowledge would be transmitted for generations to come.
Exactly. And despite his stature, he remained incredibly approachable. There's this charming anecdote
Okay.
about how he would decide whether to fast for the day based on if there were any social gatherings to attend.
So like if there was a wedding or a celebration, he would join in and share in the joy. And if not, he would dedicate the day to fasting. That's such a beautiful balance between, spiritual discipline and just social engagement.
Right.
He understood the importance of connecting with people and sharing in their joys,
Yeah.
their sorrows alike.
Yeah, he did. But even despite his success and influence,
Right.
he never lost sight of the importance of simplicity and humility.
This is truly inspiring. Even as a governor, he remained grounded, concerned about the trappings of power,
Right.
clinging to a life of minimalism.
Remember that story about how he kept all his worldly possessions?
Yeah, what could fit on a camel?
Exactly.
He famously said, the one with the least burdens will ascend quicker, meaning, those who are less attached to material possessions, they'll
Yeah.
have an easier time on their spiritual journey.
Right.
And he didn't just say it, he lived it.
He did. His life was a testament to the idea that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in our connection with God,
Yeah.
in our character, and the positive impact we have on the world around us.
His story is such a breath of fresh air, especially in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with messages about acquiring more,
Yeah.
achieving more, being more.
More.
Abu Darda's life reminds us that true fulfillment comes from within, from nurturing our souls and connecting with the divine.
You've hit the nail on the head. His life serves as a powerful antidote to the materialism,
Yeah.
consumerism that often dominate our lives.
Yeah.
He understood that true wealth lies in knowledge, good character, and a heart that's connected to God.
It's a message that resonates deeply, especially for those of us who are trying to navigate the complexities of modern life
Yeah.
while staying true to our faith. This is incredible,
Mm.
and we're just getting started.
Yeah,
We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive into the life of Abu Darda, so don't go anywhere.
definitely not.
So welcome back to our deep dive into the life of Abu Darda.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about this deliberate choice of his to live simply, right?
Well-
And prioritize what truly matters.
And what's so striking is, even with all his knowledge and influence, he held on to this commitment to simplicity. It's a powerful reminder that true fulfillment doesn't come from, worldly success or possessions, but from aligning our hearts and actions with, the principles of our faith.
It makes you think about his teaching style. You mentioned that he was hugely influential,
Yeah.
especially in Damascus. What do you think set him apart as a teacher?
One thing that stands out is his deep understanding of the Quran,
Right.
and more importantly, his ability to make it relatable to everyday life.
So it wasn't just about reciting verses or focusing on, the technical aspects.
Right.
He was really helping people to understand how to apply those teachings,
Exactly.
to their lives,
Oh.
to actually live by them.
Exactly. He was a master at bridging that gap between the sacred text and the realities of his students' lives. He wanted them to not just learn, but to embody the Quran's wisdom.
I bet his classes were dynamic,
Yeah.
not just lectures, but filled with real-world examples.
Absolutely.
Practical advice. There's,
And he wasn't afraid to challenge his students,
oh, yeah,
to really make them think critically about what they were learning.
I like that.
Yeah. There's a story about him reciting a verse from the Quran about the consequences for those who, disbelieve in God and refuse to help the poor.
Okay.
And after reciting the verse, he turns to his students and he's like, we've got the first part of the verse down.
So they believed in God,
Yeah.
but what about the second part?
Helping the poor.
Right.
That's exactly the question he posed. He wanted them to reflect on their actions, to make sure that their faith wasn't just words,
Yeah.
but it was reflected in how they treated those in need.
What a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that faith is not passive.
Right.
It's something we have to actively live out,
Right.
particularly in how we treat, those who are less fortunate.
It's about taking our beliefs and turning them into concrete actions,
Yeah.
making a real difference in the world around us.
That's what it's all about.
Abu Darda understood that true faith is lived out,
Yeah.
not just spoken about.
His teachings just seem so relevant today, especially when, there's so much focus on this personal piety,
Yeah.
sometimes at the expense of our responsibility to the wider community.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in, rituals and forget the social dimension of faith.
Yeah.
Abu Darda's life is a reminder that our faith should drive us to action,
Yeah.
to reach out to those in need,
Yeah.
and work towards a more just and equitable society.
He saw Islam as like a holistic way of life. It encompasses both our relationship with God, but also our responsibility to our fellow human beings.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of which, you mentioned earlier that Abu Darda spent a lot of time in contemplation and reflection.
Yeah.
But how did he actually do it? Were there any specific techniques or methods that he used?
While the sources don't go into specific details about his techniques,
Right.
we do have his wife's observations.
Okay.
She described him often just sitting in silence,
Hmm.
lost in thought.
So it wasn't about, these complex rituals or elaborate practices. No,
Yeah.
it was about creating that space for quiet reflection,
Yeah.
for connecting with something bigger than himself.
Exactly. He understood the power of stillness.
Yeah.
You know, it's a reminder that sometimes the most profound spiritual experiences happen in those quiet moments when we disconnect from the noise of the world and turn our attention inward.
Easy to forget,
Yeah.
in our always on,
Yeah.
hyper-connected world.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the constant stream of information and stimulation
Yeah.
and forget about the importance of just being,
Yeah.
allowing ourselves time to think, reflect. Do you think there are any lessons from his practice of contemplation that, we can apply to our own lives?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about making a conscious effort
Yeah.
to carve out time for ourselves,
Yeah.
even if it's just for a few minutes each day to disconnect
Mhm.
from distractions, be still,
Yeah.
and connect with something deeper.
It sounds so simple,
Yeah,
yet it can be so challenging in our busy lives.
it can be.
It takes discipline,
Yeah.
intentionality,
Intentionality.
but the rewards can be immeasurable.
Absolutely. And it's accessible to everyone,
Yeah.
regardless of their background or their level of knowledge. It's about making space for those quiet moments of introspection that can lead to real spiritual growth.
Now, in addition to contemplation, were there any other spiritual practices that Abu Darda was particularly dedicated to?
He was deeply devoted to the remembrance of God,
Okay.
which is known as dhikr in Islam.
Right.
His wife recounted how he spent much of his day engaged in various forms of dhikr, repeating phrases like Subhanallah, which means glory be to God, and Alhamdulillah, meaning praise be to God.
So it wasn't just about, those formal prayer times. It
Uh-huh.
was about keeping that connection with God alive throughout his day.
Exactly. It's a beautiful reminder that we can cultivate that connection with God in every moment.
Yeah.
Through mindful awareness and remembrance,
Mm-hmm.
our faith shouldn't be compartmentalized.
Right.
It can be woven into the fabric of our lives.
It's about making it like an integral part of who we are,
Exactly.
rather than just something that we do at certain times.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a state of constant remembrance
Mm-hmm.
where our hearts and minds are continuously turned towards God,
Yeah.
no matter what we're doing.
And that practice can bring so much peace and tranquility,
Yeah.
to help us to kind of navigate the inevitable challenges of life with a sense of purpose and grounding.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
True peace comes not from external circumstances,
Yeah.
but from our inner connection with the divine.
Yeah.
And that's something we can cultivate through practices like dhikr.
One of the things that really struck me about Abu Darda's story is the fact that he passed away with no one holding any grudges against him.
Wow.
That's incredibly rare,
It is.
especially for someone who held, positions of authority like he did.
Right. It speaks volumes about his character,
Yeah.
his fairness,
Hmm.
and his dedication to treating everyone with respect and kindness.
It's a quality that's often lacking in leaders today,
Often. Yeah.
where, ambition and self-promotion often take center stage.
Yeah.
Abu Darda reminds us that true leadership is about serving others,
Absolutely.
not wielding power
Yeah.
or seeking personal gain.
Exactly. It's about humility,
Yeah.
integrity,
Hmm.
and a genuine desire to uplift those around us.
And these are qualities that we can all cultivate,
We can.
regardless of our position or status in life.
Regardless.
It's about, bringing kindness,
Yeah.
compassion,
Yeah.
a willingness to make a positive impact
Yeah.
to every interaction that we have.
And it's about the legacy we leave behind.
Yeah.
A legacy of service, of compassion, and a life lived in service to God and to humanity.
This has been an incredibly insightful, look at Abu Darda's life
Yeah.
so far.
It has.
But there's still more to uncover. We'll be back soon to wrap up our deep dive and explore what we can all learn from his remarkable journey. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been uncovering the extraordinary life of Abu Darda.
Yeah.
This man who transitioned from an idol worshiper to a renowned scholar and placed such emphasis on character, knowledge, and a life dedicated to faith.
Yeah.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
So what strikes me is how he maintained that commitment to simplicity and humility,
Right.
even after achieving scholarly, heights.
It's like he understood that true fulfillment doesn't come from worldly recognition, but
Yeah.
from aligning your heart
Yeah.
your actions with, the principles of Islam.
Right. He was always striving for that deeper connection with the divine, whether it was through contemplation or remembrance of God, or simply by treating others with, kindness and respect. What was so unique about his approach was that sincerity
Right.
that comes through. Remember how he approached even the hadith?
Yeah, the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad.
With a smile.
Yeah, his wife was concerned that people might misinterpret it.
Right.
But he explained that he was simply trying to emulate the Prophet,
Right.
who always spoke with joy and warmth.
Such a beautiful, simple act.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes about, his understanding of Islam as a faith of love,
Yeah.
compassion, and joy.
Right. It wasn't a burden or a rigid set of rules for him.
Right.
A path to inner peace and fulfillment.
And speaking of love and compassion, we can't forget his relationship with his wife, Darda.
Their bond was clearly rooted in mutual respect, shared faith, and a deep love for learning.
Yeah.
And, on his deathbed, she asks him to pray that they could be together in paradise.
Such a moving testament to their connection.
Yeah, their love for one another.
Speaks volumes about the kind of man he was.
Yeah.
And of course, Darda went on to become, a respected scholar herself.
Yeah, demonstrating, how supportive their relationship was.
Exactly.
They both made such a significant impact on Islamic scholarship.
Yeah.
And their story just continues to inspire us today.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways
Yeah.
you think our listener can apply to their own lives?
For me, there are a few that stand out.
Okay.
First is, it's never too late to start a journey of learning
Hmm.
and spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Abu Darda embraced Islam later in life compared to many others.
Right.
Yet his dedication led him to become, this leading scholar.
So encouraging for
Yeah.
anyone who feels like, they're starting late, they've missed out.
It's never too late to seek knowledge.
Yeah.
Connect with your faith and strive for personal growth.
Second takeaway.
Abu Darda's life really highlights the importance of putting our beliefs into action.
Yeah.
He didn't just preach about good character. He lived it,
Right.
treating everyone with kindness and respect.
And that wasn't just about, personal piety.
Right.
It was about creating a more just,
Exactly.
compassionate society where
Yeah.
people, support each other, uphold principles of fairness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally,
His emphasis on contemplation and reflection
mhm,
reminds us that even in our, busy lives,
Right.
we need to make space for stillness
yeah,
and introspection.
it's in those quiet moments
Yeah.
that we can connect with ourselves, deepen our understanding of God, and find that peace that we all seek.
You're absolutely right.
It's a powerful reminder that, true fulfillment doesn't come from external validation or possessions.
Right.
It comes from nurturing our souls, cultivating good character, and living a life aligned with our values.
And sometimes the most profound growth happens in those quiet moments of reflection.
As we conclude, I want to,
Yeah.
encourage you to think about your own life.
Hmm.
How can you incorporate some of Abu Darda's teachings
Right.
into your routine?
Oh. Maybe dedicate a few minutes each day to quiet contemplation.
Focus on treating others with kindness,
Mm.
or just simply strive to live more intentionally.
What a journey this has been.
It has been.
Abu Darda's story is a testament to the fact that a life dedicated to knowledge, character, and sincere worship is a life worth living.
It is.
It's a life that leaves a positive impact
Yeah.
and inspires others.
It does.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive
Yeah,
into the life of Abu Darda. We hope you found it as inspiring as we have,
we did.
and that it sparked your own curiosity to learn more about the wisdom of the early Muslims. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep striving for a life of meaning and purpose.
Absolutely.